First to welcome you this morning is Mr. Darrell Heggie, our Vice President in charge of Student Services.
Thanks, John. Ladies and gentlemen, President Schuck is out of town on college business and unable to be here, although he regrets that he's not here to welcome you personally. He does send warm words of greetings to you. It's a pleasure for me to welcome you to Eastern today. This is Fall Festival Day. It's a very festive occasion, and there are a lot of things going on. It's a particular pleasure to welcome you to the dedication of Pence Union Building. Students had a great deal to do with the planning of the building, and were highly encouraged to assist in the naming of the building. And in the research that they did, in trying to come up with a name to recommend to the Board of Trustees for naming the building, they found out some of the things that you and I already knew about Mr. Pence. And they found that he stood head and shoulders above many of his colleagues in terms of the interest that he took in students and the great concern that he showed for student problems and student concerns. So I won't belabor the welcome anymore. We're here to dedicate a beautiful building to a beautiful man, and we hope you have a happy day.
In order to better give you an idea of what the building goes through in a day or a week, one of my fellow executive officers, Jim DeWalt, will explain to you some of the things that happen around here.
Hopefully. When I was first approached about speaking here today, I immediately panicked. He says, why don't you get John to do it? Well, John was smarter than I was. He got the Master of Ceremonies position already held down. So I had never dedicated a building before. So I called Graham Johnson and asked for help. Help? So I said, well, what do I say? And he says, well, just tell what goes on in the building and how it affects students. And how what your perception is that goes on at the building. Well, I hadn't really thought about it very much. I just kind of took it for granted, I suppose, as we do everything else and our usual mundane, ordinary daily lives. So I thought about it and I thought, well, as vice president, what are you concerned with? Mainly. And what I was concerned about mainly was the welfare of students and what went on with them in the activities. And this building, it seemed like, was designed for the primary purpose as a non-academic aspect of student life. And as anything that is built, the primary concern after it's built is it serving the purpose for which it was built? So I looked around and tried to find out, really what was this building and what was being used. And it's my perception as being a student, and from the other students that I've talked to, that Pence Union Building is actually the focal point, presently, of the entire campus. Located within this building, we have a theater that seats 900 people. It also doubles as a dining area, a games room, providing an area for which students can relax by playing pool, pinball, various machines, non-gambling devices. A post office that provides not only a meal service for the students, the associated students, but for the entire college community. A lounge, you were in earlier this morning, I suppose most of you downstairs on the second floor, that provides not only a rest area but also a place to study, mainly for our commuting students from Spokane, of which I'm sure many of you are aware we have a significant number of. Downstairs in the main floor we have a art gallery, which student artists and local artists can display their work. We have, mainly on this floor, we have various rooms, such as this, in which clubs and organizations can meet. And it also provides space for the Associated Student Executive Offices. We have a room in which a daily sheet of informational items is distributed called a focus. This serves not only students, but faculty and administrative people. All these people use this thing, and it's a free service that we provide to students. And this building provides a space in which we can implement this. We also have the information booth downstairs in which students can cash checks. That's all really impressive, but it doesn't really mean a whole lot until you start to think about it on a 2-week span. I looked at it and I was really kind of amazed, to be perfectly honest with you. I just couldn't believe that that much went on in this building in a 2-week span. So if I may, I'll elaborate. In a 2-week period, downstairs in the main dining room, this building facilitated nearly a little over 20,000 students in a 2-week span. I thought that was quite outstanding. The games room provided entertainment for between 500 and 600 students that just relaxed. There were over 25 clubs and organizations, I don't know what the number of people is there, that used this building. Now that is other than the associated students. That's not counting anything like the committees that we have meeting here. These are outside of the direct AS responsibility. There were over 5,000 people entertained with the activities aspect of associated government. They are the Coffee House series, in which we feature local, usually musical entertainment. There were we had dances, we had a contemporary film series, and we also have our current film series. And our current film series includes such current films as Joe, Paint Your Wagon, The Sterile Cuckoo, Myra Breckenridge. These are just to mention a few of them. We have these ongoing this quarter. We'll have a whole new set of them next quarter. We're not like television. We don't show reruns. In 2 nights, this building, Thursday night and Friday night, we had nearly 2,000 people were entertained by the Johnny Rivers concert. I don't know if any of you were fortunate or unfortunate. I suppose it depends on your perspective and go last night. I went Thursday, and I thought it was a pretty good concert. Also, I checked with Walt Zabel's office downstairs for the check cashing service, and I was told within the last 2 weeks that they have cashed over $20,000 worth of checks just to students, which you can see that this building is used quite a lot. In consideration of all these factors, I know that the Pence family can be extremely proud to have their name associated with a building that provides so much to so many students. Thank you.
The fellow with the biggest job with respect to the Pence Union Building is the fellow who's in charge of scheduling all the rooms, making sure the food service is doing its job, making sure the building is open on time and closed without a hassle at night. And that's Walt Zabel. He's the director of student activities and the guy in charge of the Pence Union Building.
Pence Union Building. I'd kind of like to go over, in other words, from student personnel side, in other words, a little bit of how this building was derived and where it came from. The idea of the new student union building actually was started about the time that the old sub was opened. That was way back in about '56. And even at that time, just as soon as the old building was opened, there was a need felt for more space, more facilities, more equipment. In other words, the student body was just really expanding, and the need to carry on other student activities just required more space, more facilities, more equipment. From this idea, through lots of meetings, and I always say endless meetings, planning meetings, just on and on, planning, changes and changes again, and changes again after that, came the plans, the ideas, and the concept of the pub. And I bring this in as the pub. In other words, Pence Union Building, in other words, the name right now, pub, is pretty much becoming part of this building. In other words, I use it all the time because I answer the phone and it's real easy to answer, "Good morning, pub, what can I do for you?" Something like this. As Jim kind of outlined for you, the pub is designed to serve many, many, many different phases, programs, and parts of the college. Housed in this building are facilities, space for student government, student activities, programming. We have a full food service catering downstairs. As Jim says, a games area, information desk. We're even going to have a barber shop. The equipment's not quite here yet, but we have a space for it. There is a space downstairs for a crafts area, some different ideas, different kinds of programs that have never, well, haven't been possible before. The pub is a facility which I really feel Eastern as a school can be very proud of, and I think the students, faculty, alumni, and friends make very good use of it. As Jim just outlined for you, in other words, even now the building is really being used. Every day, in other words, day, night, and on the weekends and so on, there's just a continuous run of different kinds of programs. I would like to just kind of close real quickly and say, in other words, the new pub will make it possible and will provide the physical space and the physical equipment for a real and a well-rounded student activities program at Eastern Washington State College. Thank you.
Omer Pence and the Pence family has long been known for its dedication to the students and their trials and tribulations at Eastern's campus. Today we are fortunate to have with us the son of Mr. Omer Pence, Clarence Pence, to respond to all this stuff we've been saying about him.
Thank you. I'm not sure that I can respond as I should to everything that has been said. My wife's been digging me for several days now as to did I have my speech ready, and this morning she didn't dig me, so then I don't have it ready. We regret that some of the family is not here. My stepmother, Alma, is in bed at Riverview Medical Center, but she regrets very much that she was unable to be here. And Paul, her son, was stopped there this morning, and Alma would certainly like to be here, and we are sorry that she can't be. Also, my brother Frank is planning to be here. He's serving on the negotiating team for the Bureau of Indian Affairs down in Albuquerque, dealing with the teachers over salaries, I guess. Anyway, he thought that that wouldn't be over in time for him to make it, so apparently it wasn't, because he isn't here. I just had hoped that he'd surprise us and come anyway. But we do have, if I may, I don't know if I'm supposed to do this, but this was part of my speech, that I do have my two sisters, and I'm going to have them stand up. My sister Gertrude from Portland, Gertrude Stevens, and Dorothy Giles from Seattle. You don't need to, they've all seen you now. And my wife, Betty, over here, and and our daughter Patty and her son, her husband Bob, my son-in-law. And now I'll get back on this side. Fred Giles, you know Fred is from Seattle at the University of Washington, right here, and Ginny, what's your last name now? Beam, B-E-H-M. That's I misspelled it, but that's all right. She's from California. And Barbie is Dorothy and Fred's daughter, and her husband Rich Haldy back here, and Marie and Dale Buckley. Dale is a graduate of Eastern, and both Dale and Marie are graduates of Eastern. And Dale is my cousin. He's now with the Seattle schools. And let's see, I've got Kathy and Jim. I was going to say Jim White. Jim, you're studying architecture too, aren't you? Yeah. They're from, and Kathy is teaching school down in Stoughton County. Now, Paul and Marge Roselle. Paul is a dentist out in Millwood. And who else? Did I miss any of the rest of the family? No? I guess I got them. Thank you for letting me present those folks. If any building on the campus was to be dedicated to my dad, it should have been, and we're glad that it was, this Pence Student Union building, because certainly the students were his prime interest and concern. I can well remember, I think it's in this right up here of him, when we were out in the Big Bend anyway, and he was teaching in this little school out there, that he would encourage those students as they got to be up in the 8th grade that they should go on to school. And in fact, when we moved to Cheney, some of those students that he had encouraged, that they came and lived with us so that they could attend college here, and later went out and became teachers. I can well remember too, Dr. Williamson can verify this, that if there were a number of, say 3 or 4 faculty members gathered together in the hall, and my dad happened to be one of them, and they would be talking about probably tell the president how to run the college or something, he would be, and a student would walk by. I just know this happened many times, and my dad would turn and speak to the student, whereas the other fellows probably were too busy with their politics to be concerned with the student. And that always impressed me, and I hope that some of that quality rubbed off on some of the rest of us. We have another fellow that I want to make sure that I mention here today, and that's Marv Shattuck, who is a part of the, Marvin, were you chairman of the committee? Anyway, you served on the committee for the selecting names for buildings to be constructed here on the campus, and Marvin, appreciate your efforts, and we all appreciate the fact that you and your committee decided upon this building for my dad, to be named after my dad. I'm sorry too, Walt, that you don't have that barber shop ready, because I was planning to use it today. I put that off until today. And another person that hadn't been mentioned here that I want to make sure that I mention, and that's Kenny Brooks, the architect. We just learned this morning that, well, he just learned that, that I was related to Omer Pence, but I told him that we should have been working together in the last 2 or 3 years while he was designing the building. The closest I got to designing or working with this building was with the plumber, Dick Smet, as the owner, one of the owners of Standard Plumbing, and I believe they had the contract for the mechanical here. And so I'd talk to Dick once in a while and tell him to make sure he did a good job, and Ken tells me that he did. But I think Ken Brooks should be congratulated for his designing of a mighty fine building, and we're very proud of it. Now, on behalf of the family, let's see, Mr. Allen, what's your first name? John. On behalf of the family, I'd like to present this plaque to you from the family, and you can read what it says, if you will, to the folks.
In recognition of his total commitment to young people, as a faculty member and administrator, but above all, a counselor, from 1925 to 1954. This building is affectionately dedicated to Omer O. Pence, Emeritus Professor of Geography, November 6, 1971. And now we're going to have a word from the guy who is responsible for telling the president how to run the college. The chairman, the newly elected chairman of our Board of Trustees, Mr. Merle Hafner.
Thank you, John. They were told I should accept. We have been in this building for quite some time now, and we certainly have accepted its great beauty. Well, Vice President Hagee, Mr. Pence, honored guests and fellow friends of Eastern. We are meeting here today for the express purpose to honor the memory of a man who is not with us now. 46 years ago, Eastern was blessed with a young man who was eager, ambitious, energetic. He had to have had all these attributes as he taught in every department, I understand, except the field of music and physical education, and served as an administrator as well. Omer O. Pence spent 50 years in education, with 29 at Eastern. On September 8, 1963, the community not only lost a good friend, but a wise administrator, a conscientious educator, and a public servant. Today, as we meet in this beautiful new building, it is, I think, very fitting that such a center for campus life, as was brought out earlier, be dedicated to the memory of a gentleman, a man, who dedicated his entire life and efforts toward the improvement of the whole person. Truly, this is a modern building. It's a triumph of construction skill. It's a testimony to architectural skill. But I think this building is more than just brick and concrete and steel. It's an emblem of man's thoughtfulness to man. It's a symbol of progress toward man's experience and education. I think if he were with us today, Omer Pence would fully endorse the ideals, the usefulness, and the excitement that this building presents and represents to all of us that use it. I am indeed proud to speak on behalf of the Board of Trustees of Eastern Washington State College in the dedication of this magnificent structure that stands in the memory of truly a great man. I wish to compliment the family, all of you, for your continued interest and generosity to education through your support of the scholarship program. And to those now and in the future who have the opportunity to enjoy the confines of these walls, may the image and dedication of Omer Pence linger and have a lasting impression on you always and in your future. Thank you.
As president of the Associated Students and having my office on the third floor of this building, a lot of times everybody who goes to school here doesn't know all the things that they can do. And especially in government, I think sometimes that I can't reach everybody that I would like to be able to. But one thing is certain, all the students who attend Cheney from Eastern from now on will be able to see our dedication and the Pence family's dedication in the form of this union building to the students here at Eastern. And all students will be able to see that. I want to thank you all for coming today and enjoy the building. Thank you.